Welcome to Duncan Scott Creative. Today I want to talk about something that doesn't really get spoken about honestly enough when people leave their full-time employment and want to start a photography business. It's the financial reality. Before I start, I'm not a mentor, I'm not a coach, I'm not going to give you definitive advice. All I'm sharing is what I've learned over the last 2 years of building my own business after stepping away from a structured career. And if you're thinking about making the same move, this is something I wish I'd heard before I'd started. This is the line that should be at the top of every creative business article. If you're going to give up work to build your own business, make sure you have enough money to see you through the first 6 to 9 months without any income. I'm not talking about reduced income. I'm not talking about not a few clients here and there. I mean absolutely no income. Because the early months are unpredictable. And it doesn't matter how much effort you put in before you've made that change. You're learning, you're building, you're experimenting. And you're trying to figure out what actually works for you and what takes the time when you're starting, certainly later on in life. 6 to 9 months isn't a magic number. It's simply the amount of time it took me to understand what my niche actually was, who my clients were, what I could realistically charge, how long it took to build trust, how long it took to get paid. If you're coming away from the corporate background, you're used to structure, predictability, a monthly salary. Creative work doesn't have to be like that. It's lumpy, it's seasonal, it's slow at the start. Having that financial buffer doesn't make the journey easier, but it means it's not a crisis. If you spent 20, 40 years working for somebody else, you're conditioned to think in terms of performance reviews, annual bonuses, potentially predictable progression, structured workloads, and expectations that are absolutely clear. Creative business is totally the opposite. There's no ladder, there's no manager telling you what to do, there's no guaranteed progression, and there's definitely no monthly salary. You're building something from scratch, and that means uncertainty. Financially, emotionally, creatively. This isn't a warning, it's a reality check. And if you understand it early, you'll make better decisions later on. When you start, you've probably got a camera, lenses, and some basic software. And you may want to upgrade whatever you've got. So the obvious costs are easy to see. Another camera body, lenses, additional software, insurance and travel. But the hidden costs are the ones that are going to catch you out. The time it takes to learn new skills. The time it takes to build your portfolio of the niche that you're in. The time to find new clients. The time it takes to build trust, and that is a big one. The time it takes to get paid. A lot of people will delay payment. Time is money, especially when you're not earning. For me, the biggest cost wasn't the gear. It was the months spent learning, experimenting, and refining the direction I was going to take. Now let's talk about something that we rarely admit. and it affects all of us. The emotional weight of starting over. When you spent decades being competent, respected, financially stable, stepping into a world where you're a beginner can hit really hard. Financial pressures amplify that. It makes you second guess all your decisions. It can make you choose the wrong clients. It makes you underprice your work, and it can make you panic. That's why the financial buffer really matters. Not just for paying the bills, but for protecting your confidence. Confidence is the fuel of a creative business. This is what I've learned in the first 2 years. I thought I knew my niche, but I did not actually know my niche when I started. And it takes time to discover what you're really good at and what people will pay for. Your pricing will change a lot, and that's normal because you're learning your value. Your workflow will evolve. What you think is a normal workflow when you're doing it for yourself and you're doing it as a hobby will change when you do this for your own business. Your income streams will diversify. Photography isn't just about shooting. It's prints, it's stock photography, it's licensing, it's writing, it may be teaching, and several other things. You will make mistakes. That's great, as long as you learn from them and they don't bankrupt you. For me, a big part of my work is pre-hospital photography, training environments, ambulance crews, realistic scenarios. It's a niche that no one really talks about. It's ethical, it's technical, it's sensitive, and it requires trust. There's a financial truth with that. Niches take longer to build, but once they're established, they're far more stable. So if you're starting again, a niche can be your biggest advantage, but only if you give it time to grow. If you're thinking about leaving your full-time job and you want to build a photography business without blowing up your finances, I hope this gives you something real to think about. The journey is possible, it's meaningful, it's rewarding, but it's not instant and it's not free by any means. If you want grounded, honest insight from somebody doing the work in real time, subscribe and follow along. I'm Duncan Scott, and this is Duncan Scott Creative, building a creative business in real time.